It's week 9 in the NFL, and we give you our 3 best bets for this Sunday, and it all starts right now. Hey guys, it's Matt from Grandstand, Bettors.com, and we have 3 more picks for you for NFL this Sunday. But first, before we get into those picks, if you are new to Grandstand Bettors, go ahead, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any of our NFL picks and predictions all season long. While you're at it, smash that like button. We have had 3 straight weeks of free picks that have profited. So smash that like button if you like to profit with NFL betting. But without further ado, let's dive in to our best 3 bets for week number 9 in the NFL. And the first game we're going to look at is going to be in the 1 p.m. Eastern time slot. That's going to be between the New England Patriots and the Carolina Panthers. Patriots are favored in this game by 3.5. The over-under is set at 41. Now, the Patriots have won 3 of the last 4 games, getting back to 500 at 4-4. They're only 1.5 games out of first place, right behind the Buffalo Bills in the AFC East. Now, they're coming off a very impressive performance last week against the LA Chargers, winning 27-24. The Patriots have looked very good under their offense, led by Mac Jones, who's putting up 26 points per game this season. Jones, although a rookie, has passed for 2,000 yards on the season and 9 touchdowns. He does have 6 interceptions on the season, but he hasn't thrown one since October 17th. The reason for the Patriots' recent success, and let's be honest, guys, these Patriots could be in first place if it wasn't for a couple heartbreaking losses to the Bucs and the Cowboys, is their greatly balanced attack that they have on offense. Along with Mac Jones and his very diverse portfolio of receivers that he targets, the Patriots have been able to run the ball very well lately. Now, they are in the bottom half of the league in rushing at 101 yards per game, but in the last 3 weeks, they're actually the 5th best rushing attack team in the NFL with over 135 yards on the ground. Led by Damian Harris, who is averaging 4.4 yards per carry, they should be able to continue this trend against a Panthers rush defense that has actually looked pretty average as of late. Now, you would think that they would lean on Harris early and often, especially given the fact that regardless of how great Mac Jones has looked, he is a rookie and he will be going up against the 2nd best passing defense in the NFL. Speaking of those defensive sound Carolina Panthers, they're coming into this one 4-4, finally picking up a win last week against the Falcons, 19-13. It's very apparent that this team is a really one-headed monster, and that is Christian McCaffrey. His being on or off the field affects the offense in either a good or a bad way. Sam Darnold this season, he's thrown for 1,800 yards with 7 TDs and 8 interceptions. That's not good, Sam. Now, just FYI, Sam Darnold is looking questionable for this game, and I believe it's PJ Tucker, but we're just going to take this where Sam Darnold's starting. So take this pick with a grain of salt if PJ Tucker is your starting quarterback. But if you really dive into Darnold's stats in the last 3 games in the first 3 games that he did have McCaffrey for this season, he averaged nearly 300 yards per game and only threw 1 interception. Now, since then, with the exception of that awful Cowboys pass defense, Darnold in his last 4 starts has not eclipsed 207 passing yards, and he's thrown 5 interceptions since McCaffrey's been out. Now, they're going to be facing a Patriots secondary, which is average at best and has recently struggled in the last handful of games. They gave up over 400 yards to Dak Prescott, 300 yards to Davis Mills and the Texans, and 200 yards to Mike White. So Sam Darnold may be able to put up at least 225 yards and a touchdown this week, but again, it's going to rely on what they get out of their running game. Now, Hubbard, he's done a decent job filling in for McCaffrey, having a 100-yard rushing game in that span, but recently, the Panthers' offense has been very stagnant and unable to move the ball. But the good news is McCaffrey is off the IR, and it looks like he could play this week. It's 50-50 right now. We'll see as we get closer to Sunday. Hopefully he does play. if the Panthers have any hopes of making the playoffs, they really need them to start this week and moving forward, as they sit in the 7th seed right now in the NFC wildcard position, with the Saints ahead of them and their QB situation as Winston has gone down. The Panthers, if they put things together, they have a chance of actually making the playoffs this year. And who knows, maybe Sam Darnold and McCaffrey make a run deep into the playoffs. I know that's far-fetched, but hey, weirder things have happened. Now, again, most of this is going to rely on McCaffrey's health. Although the Patriots' passing defense can give up yardage, it has been increasingly easier to shut down Sam Darnold. DJ Moore, he has seen 81 targets this season for 50 receptions and 645 receiving yards. He has more receptions than the next player has been targeted, and that is Robbie Anderson. So if McCaffrey cannot go in this one, it's going to be a long day for the Panthers, because all the Patriots are going to have to do is shut down DJ Moore. Now, overall, we do think Mac Jones is starting to separate himself from being a rookie into a franchise QB. We're a little surprised on how many people aren't really comparing him to his poise in the pocket like Tom Brady. We expect Jones and Belichick to come out with a good scheme against the Panthers and put up points against them. On the other side, the Panthers have a little bit of a dumpster fire going recently, but if, and it's a big if, McCaffrey does play here, we do like the Panthers to get back on track, get that offense going. Now, we're going to stay away from the spread here, as McCaffrey coming back is up in the air. Like we mentioned, Sam Darnold's questionable as well. So we're going to shift to actually the over here because we don't want to get caught on the wrong side of a number if McCaffrey does come back. The total, it's sitting very low. It's sitting at 41. Opened up 45, down to 41. Might actually get lower if McCaffrey's out. So I'm sure we're going to get some under comments here that are going to roll in. But listen, this is a great spot to go contrarian, especially on a number that's moved so far down. We can buy back on the buy low here. And so with our first pick for the NFL week number 9, we're actually going to take the Carolina Panthers and the New England Patriots over 41. Listen, the Panthers, they've given up 21 points in the last 3 or 4 games, and the Patriots offense have scored 25 or more points in 4 straight games. So we think this is a good number to go contrarian. Watch yourself though. If you wait a little too long and McCaffrey's in, that number might jump up. So Panthers, Patriots over 41. Second pick in the NFL week number 9, we're going to look at the 4 p.m. time slot between the LA Chargers and the Philadelphia Eagles. Chargers are 1.5 point favorites, and the over-under is set at 49.5. Chargers come into this game 4-3, having lost 2 straight, including getting blown out, absolutely blown out against the Ravens, and losing a close one last week to the Patriots. Many eyebrows are starting to get raised about this Chargers team, thinking maybe here we go again, can't live up to the expectations. Justin Herbert, who started the season beating the Chiefs, the Raiders, and Browns in consecutive weeks, has looked poor the last 2 games. He does have 2,000 yards passing, 16 touchdowns on the season, but the last 2 weeks, only a 54 completion percentage rate, and has thrown 3 of his 6 interceptions on the season in just those past weeks. Now, the Chargers have really been struggling on third downs. 7 of 24 the last couple weeks. But things could turn around this week against the Eagles, as the Eagles have one of the worst teams defensively on third downs. They're giving up almost a 44% conversion rate on the season. Now, we expect Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, and even Jared Cook to have a great day in these situations against a mediocre Eagles secondary. These 3 have had a decent year so far with over 100 catches, 1,260 yards receiving, and 10 touchdowns. Now, on top of the receivers that we just mentioned, look for them to also utilize Eckler out of the backfield, as the Eagles give up the 6th most receiving yards to running backs in the NFL. If for some reason, though, the passing game's not working, the Chargers, they're going to look at getting the rushing game going with Eckler, who is averaging 5 yards a carry, and that could be, again, a problem for the Eagles, who are in the bottom 3rd rushing defense in the NFL. Speaking of those Eagles, they come into the game 3-5, which is laughably good enough for 2nd place in the NFC East right now. They're coming off a very dominant performance last week against the Lions, 44-6. the Eagles, somewhat like the Chargers, have a balanced attack as well. However, the balanced attack is really Jalen Hurts passing and rushing the ball. He has over 1,800 yards passing and leads the team in rushing yards with just over 400 with 15 total touchdowns. Again, though, like Justin Herbert, he does a great job finding the open receiver, with Devonta Smith actually being his favorite, targeting him 56 times, and he has 33 catches and 420 yards on the season. Hurts may have some trouble, though, passing in this game, as the Chargers do statistically have the fifth best secondary in the league, only allowing 200 yards per game. So the Eagles, they're definitely going to look to exploit the Chargers' rush defense in this one. But how will that rushing game do this week for the Eagles? With Sanders on the IR last week and having a running back by committee with Boston Scott, Jordan Howard, that's the basketball player, Jordan Howard, and Kenneth Gainwell against the Lions, they actually had a good day. Between the three of them, 144 yards rushing and 4 touchdowns. But like most weeks, Jalen Hurts again led with rushing yards with 71. Now the Chargers have I'm going to repeat that, the worst rushing defense in the NFL, giving up over 160 yards per game. Recently, it's been worse. They gave up 210 to the Browns and 180 to the Ravens. So Hurts and the ground game could have another monstrous day. Overall, this game's really going to come down to two things. First, the play of the two quarterbacks. We have seen Herbert in spots look very good, maybe that he turned a corner, but at times he also looks like he can't handle the pressure. On the other side, Jalen Hurts hasn't been impressive at all and is more of a game manager who thinks run before pass. So we're going to give the slight edge there to Herbert. The second thing this game comes down to is the ability of the Chargers to stop the rushing game of the Eagles. With a couple of the Eagles receivers questionable for this game and the Eagles licking their chops at the worst rush defense in the league, we think the Chargers actually come out and surprise Philly a little and just do enough to stop that rushing game. So with the second pick in NFL week number 9, we're going to take the Chargers minus 1.5 over the Eagles. And with our final pick in week 9, we're going to look into the NFC West, a divisional matchup between the Arizona Cardinals and the San Francisco 49ers. Kickoff for this is at 4:25 Eastern, and the spread is minus 2.5 in favor of the 49ers. The over is set at 45 right now. After a tough week last week for the Cardinals, which included losing J.J. Watt to season-ending injury and their first loss of the season to the Packers, they're going to be looking to get things back on track. Now, remember, I believe they did play on that Thursday night game against Green Bay, so they've had some time off to think about things. To do this week, win against the 49ers, they're going to have to go on the road after a 10-day break and really be impressive. Now, the Cardinals still have one of the most dynamic and explosive offenses in the NFL, which is a big reason why they're 7-1 this season. Their rushing attack very deep behind Chase Edmonds, James Conner, and Kyler Murray, but they only have 3 rushing touchdowns on the season. We think that's probably due to that defenses are anticipating them to run the ball, especially in the red zone, given how much Murray ran the ball last year. But the Cardinals' offense seems to be 2 steps ahead of the defenses. They've just been throwing the ball instead, and Murray's been lighting it up in the passing game. 2,300 passing yards and 17 touchdowns on the year. And he's got several wideouts that he is not afraid to throw the ball to. Now, DeAndre Hopkins leads the team in receptions and yards. And even if he is ruled out for this game because of his hamstring injury that he occurred last week or is dealing with since last week, the next 4 pass catchers on this team, they all have 29 receptions and over 200 receiving yards. So it doesn't matter who Kyler Murray throws to, he has targets. Since week 6, the 49ers defense has given up 52 points combined to the Colts and Bears, even without Hopkins and possibly Murray, who's listed as questionable with an ankle injury. The Cardinals should have an easier time putting up points against the 49ers this time, which means the 49ers need to do the same. They need to outscore the Cardinals if they want to have a chance to win this game. Fortunately for them, the 49ers do have quarterback Jimmy Garoppolo in this game, and that's certainly a boost for the offense. Like last season, though, their offense has been plagued with injuries yet again at running back. Raheem Mostert and JaMycal Hasty both went down early this season. They got some good production out of Elijah Mitchell, but even he has been suffering from a lingering rib injury this season. Rookie Trey Sermon, he stepped up as well, but only's rushed for about 135 yards. They're still managing, however, to rush for over 100 yards per game, but this team has really relied heavily on the pass to move the ball down the field. Almost half of their passing yards come from wide receiver Deebo Samuel. This guy, 819 yards receiving, 819 yards receiving out of the 1,782 receiving yards on the season. The guy's also caught 4 of the 9 passing touchdowns. It's going to be a priority for the Cardinals to guard this guy at all times if they want to limit the 49ers offense. Now, the 49ers will most likely have George Kittle back in the game coming off an injury as well, but just to give you another sense of how dependent the 49ers offense is with Deebo Samuel, Kittle played in 4 games this season and is still second on the team with 227 receiving yards. Mohamed Sanu is the next leader after that, and he only has 14 receptions on the season. Now, it's blatantly obvious what the 49ers offensive scheme is. If they don't start getting other guys involved, they're going to have no shot making a run for the playoffs later in the season, and they're not going to be able to win big games like this one. Defensively for the 49ers, these two teams are almost exactly the same when you look at the numbers. They rank 4th and 5th overall defensively, 3rd and 4th overall in pass defense, and their run defenses both give up about 120 yards per game. The two stats we do want to focus on are the takeaways and points given up for both of these teams. That's where there's really a big difference between the two defenses of the 49ers and the Cardinals have a huge edge here. 49ers, they're giving up 7 more points per game than the Cardinals and only have 5 takeaways all season compared to the 14 that the Cardinals do. Like their game in Week 6, this game will probably come down to whose defense outplays the other, and we think the Cardinals really have the edge here. They may not hold them to 10 points, again with Garoppolo back and without J.J. Watt, but they should give the offense plenty of opportunities to put up points in this one. 49ers, they're definitely favoring this game because Murray and Hopkins are listed as game time decisions. However, Murray noted that extended time since they've been off has certainly helped his healing process, and head coach Cliff Kingsbury, he said he's very confident of Murray starting without a week of practice. So it's going to be a game time decision, and even if Murray is ruled out, Colt McCoy is going to get the start for the Cardinals. I know that's a big downgrade, but quarterbacks are in the NFL for a reason. He's shown that he can throw the ball at times through the years, and the public, I think, may be overreacting on this line because of the injuries. Examples, see Cooper Rush and Mike White in the last couple weeks when filling in for their respective quarterbacks. Both won those games in the first start that they had. In addition, the Cardinals have the edge defensively in this game, and they still are very good rushing attack behind Kyler Murray or Colt McCoy if he starts. Several wide receivers that we noted are going to be hard for the 49ers to account for. If Murray is set to play for Sunday, expect this line to move in favor of the Cardinals a bit, but without him, they still should be able to keep this game close because they have a lot more depth than the 49ers do right now because of the overall injury problems. Now, our final bet of week number 9 after all that is going to be the Arizona Cardinals plus 2.5 over the 49ers. Now, I'm going to tell you right now, if Kyler Murray and Hopkins are listed and they are going to play, that line is going to move immediately. So, if you have confidence that the Arizona Cardinals and those two are going to play, take the 2.5 while you can because it's not going to be there as we get closer to game time. But that's it for us here at Grandstand Bettors. We're going to be live streaming the Browns-Bengals game on Sunday at 1 o'clock, and our Monday night free pick is coming out around halftime of the Sunday night football game. Also, we are now on Patreon. If you want to support our channel and get a sports pick each and every day, head on over to Patreon. The link's in the description below. Sign up. It's only $6.99 a month. You get a sports pick each and every day, and you help us here support our channel. But for now, as always, sit back, relax, enjoy NFL week number 9, and we'll see you next week.